All right, let's tackle some news issues on your mind that have come into us at My 2 Cents mailbox from My 2 Cents at tbn.tv. We're going to let Keith read the questions this week.
Well, a moderate undecided writes, this week, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden called President Donald Trump the country's first racist president. When asked about Trump calling the coronavirus the China virus, Biden said, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. Where do you stand on Biden and Trump's remarks?
Well, first of all, the president was simply saying something that is a fact. The virus came out of China. When we had MERS, it stood for Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. It was related to where it came from. SARS, Southeast Asia Respiratory Syndrome. So this is typically what happens when some pandemic is discovered. It is identified most often by where it originated. I don't know how to tell Joe Biden this. I'm not sure that he realizes this started in Wuhan, China. That's why. Now, this nonsense about President Trump being a racist. Folks, he may be many things, but he ain't one. And let me tell you why. For all the years that he was the king of New York, you know, it's interesting that all these New York liberals loved him. They invited him to all their parties. They wanted him to be at all their weddings. They made sure that they begged to be invited to his various goings-on because he was the toast of the town. Then he ran for president as a Republican, and suddenly, just like that, a 72-year-old man who had never been accused of being a racist before suddenly became one. That's more hard to believe than anything I've heard about Donald Trump. It's nonsense. And having known him for a while, there's a lot of things that one can say about him. That's one that just doesn't have any merit. Okay, Keith, you got some more questions over there?
Sure. Barry in Tucson, according to a Cato Institute poll this week, 62% of Americans and 77% of Republicans are afraid to share their political views. Even a majority of Democrats, 52%, said they feel this way. What's causing this chilling effect on citizens?
Well, I can tell you pretty easily what's causing it. Have you been watching news lately and seen what's going on in places like Portland and Seattle and Albuquerque and Chicago and New York? If you express a view that isn't the part that the mob wants you to believe, they'll break your car windows, pull you out of it, beat you within an inch of your life. They might shoot you. They'll burn your house down. They'll bust into your store and take your stuff, and nothing will happen to them, but something will have happened to you. So a lot of people are keeping their mouths shut about what their political beliefs are. It's unfortunate because we ought to have free speech in this country where people can say what they think, and if somebody doesn't like it, they can say what they think. And we all live together and we get along. But that's not where we are. That's why this election becomes critically important. If we let mobs determine what kind of society we have, we'll deserve the kind of society we have. And I'm just hoping people are really thoughtful when they go and vote for every election, whether it's the school board or the county commission or state elections or for president of the United States. Okay, Keith, what else we got?
Well, Ruth in Roseville, California. Hello, Governor Huckabee. Is there a reliable fact checker I can use to determine fake news stories? There's so much bias and misinformation in the media, and it only serves to divide our country. Appreciate any advice you may have.
Well, I got good news and bad news. The good news is there is a fact checker you can trust. The bad news is it's you. You're the only fact checker that you can honestly be assured of. There's websites like Snopes. It's run by a group of very, very liberal people, and their facts don't always check out. And then there's the so-called fact checkers from the Washington Post and New York Times. I'll give you a little example. About 2 years ago, I guess it was, the Washington Post fact checker said that they gave me what they call Pinocchios. That means however many Pinocchios you get for telling something they say is not true. They gave me 4 Pinocchios. And you know what they gave them to me for? Because I quoted from a story that ran in the Washington Post. Did you get that? I quoted from one of their own stories, and they said, that's not true. They're fact checker. So I just think fact checkers are a joke, a total ridiculous joke. And when somebody says to you they're a fact checker, I'm going to tell you something. They are typically very highly opinionated partisans who want you to believe that they're smarter than you. They aren't. You're smarter. Please do your own homework and get good source material. Because somebody said that, well, I saw it on the interweb, I know it's got to be true. Don't buy it. Be your own fact checker. Okay, Keith, what's next?
All right, follow closely on this one. Mary from Houston, Texas. Your recent monologue was premised on the statement that Black Lives Matter proponents think that Black lives matter more than other lives. This is not true. It's true that some people have gotten upset when some white people say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter, with the intention to diminish the notion that Black lives matter. In that context, it is a statement to diminish Black people. I wish you accurately portrayed the situation and hadn't based your entire monologue on a misunderstood, hopefully not intentionally misrepresented premise. It gets people upset and deters true understanding.
Well, you're right. It was a little hard to follow, but here's what I think you might have missed, and it's fortunately captured forever online. You can go to Huckabee.tv, go to the YouTube channel, look that particular monologue up and watch it again. Here's what I said. Black lives do matter, most certainly. And as a slogan, I affirm the truthfulness of that. What I spoke about was not the slogan, was the organization. And specifically that a lot of major American companies have given millions of dollars to the organization Black Lives Matter. And I pointed out, and again, go to their website. You want to be a fact checker? Do your facts. Check them. Go to the website, blacklivesmatter.com, and here's what you're going to discover. It is a Marxist organization. They basically would like to destroy the family as we know it, getting rid of fathers, thinking they're unimportant, and changing the whole role of a family into that of what they call the village, so that when you have children, you don't raise them, you turn them over to the village, and the village raises your kids for you. If you think I'm making that up and other stuff, all I'm asking you to do your homework, do a little reading, and ask yourself, why do big companies in America give these people a whole lot of money? Black lives matter, but the Black Lives Matter organization, it matters because they're telling a bunch of lies about this society and culture. That's what I was talking about. Okay, we got another one?
One more. Alan from Aberdeen, South Dakota. Mr. Huckabee, as a professing follower of Christ, you insist on lightening up and laughing in this day and age. Now, the Bible exhorts the exact antithesis. There are a number of scriptures that directly oppose your philosophies. Also, believers are exhorted to be sober, not sourpusses. It appears you're in opposition to Jesus. I would classify that beyond sobering. I do appreciate some of your conservative viewpoints. Your response is anticipated.
Well, I'm sorry you don't believe that God created us in His image, and He created us with a sense of humor. Not all of us seem to have gotten it, but He created us like that. And by the way, there is a scripture that says, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a bitter spirit dries up the bones. It's in the Proverbs, look it up. And here's what you might learn. One of the best medicines we will ever take is not in a bottle in the medicine chest, it's a laugh. It's being able to laugh and enjoy life. And if you think Jesus went through life without ever chuckling or laughing, maybe we've read different Bibles, but I see a Jesus who lived His life with joy, and I'm hoping that you will find some. Humor is one of the best ways that we can release the endorphins in our physical body that actually have healing power. And so I would suggest that sometimes the best medicine we will ever take is not the medicine in a bottle or from a pill. It's the medicine of laughing out loud and letting God release those physical endorphins in our body that He created so that they can ease the pain and give us the capacity to live life. Be sober as you want to. I'm going to enjoy life, and sometimes I might laugh at something I shouldn't, but more often than not, I wish I'd laughed even more. Well, thanks so much for sending in your questions and your comments, and if you have more rebukes, retorts, and requests for me, send them to my2cents@tbn.tv. Now, if you want more videos like that one, hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell right next to it. And if you leave a comment, positive or negative, I'll be sure that my dog Toby sees it and responds to you in kind.